Hey, hi there. This is a test initially just to check that the sound quality is and that you can hear me. So you should be hearing my voice now. This is Anne. And if you can't, well then as it says, I mean that sounds funny to be saying that, but if it's sounding funny or if you're not seeing the screen and you're only getting a sound, you can you can reboot. So click on that link again. And you can reconnect in. And what I really recommend is shut down other programs. So anything that might be taking any bandwidth and really shut all that down, and that's going to significantly improve the quality. Hi Gareth, so lovely to hear you. Lise, you say you can hear me. Yay, thank you so much for giving me that feedback. It's always so great to, one, know it's working, and two, to have you here. So fantastic. Lizelle says can't hear. So Lizelle, I guess there's no point me telling you what to do. Oh, I've got a little bit of a tickle in my throat, but I'm sure that's going to be sorted and we shouldn't affect us on the webinar. Great, wow, so we got Erica and Joe and Elise and Mandy and Gloria and Tumi, and Erica's in South Africa. Robin, loud and clear, this is so exciting, and we're going to be starting real soon. So as I said, turn off those other distractions and get ready to blast off. We've just got a little bit to go, giving everyone a chance to join on. And this is so great having you all here. And it looks like the system is working very, very well. So there we go. And where we got Norway and we got South Africa. Where else are you from? Share with me where you're connecting in from. Claire, Veta. Okay, well, here we are. It is officially rock and roll time for webinar of how to break free and stay free from debt forever. So hi there, this is Anne Wilson, the Wealth Chef, and it is such a joy to be with you today. And I'm just seeing all of you connecting in. We got New York, we got New Hampshire, we got Dublin, Cape Town, Switzerland, Florida, wow, Australia. So we've got nighttime, we've got morning, we've got daytime. And this is just such a reminder to me of how pervasive debt is in our world. And I just want to so acknowledge you for being on this masterclass, for taking the time and the energy and the effort to be here, to choose to say, you know, I'm not just going to accept this as the status quo, I'm going to do something about this. So I so want to acknowledge you for that. And I'm so excited about this masterclass because for me, debt blitzing is the catalyst. It is the starter wealth generation strategy. And you might say, well, you know, and how can getting rid of debt, how can blitzing debt from my life be a wealth generation strategy? Well, it is, because firstly, the amount of energy, financial energy, emotional energy, stress that debt puts on our life is one of the biggest barriers to really being able to live your juicy, rich, glorious, financially free life. But as you actually master these strategies, as you implement them in your life, as you take action, as you implement what we're going to be covering today and bring that into your life, not only are you freeing up money, saving yourself heaps on interest you would have paid, therefore absolutely keeping more of the money in your life, but what you learn about yourself, the wealth habits you create, the whole new way of relating to your money is the very foundation that sets you up to creating a glorious, financially free life. Those are the very habits that create the rhythm, the foundation of getting going. So let's get started. We've got so much to share. So great, great, great to have you all here. And so I'm going to flick on over to the presentation, and so we can dive in and really use this time we have together. So let me do that right now and get going. So as you say, you know, here we are today for this how to break free and stay Stay Free Debt Masterclass. This is really, as I said, my favorite wealth strategy, because by doing this, we are breaking out of an almost something like, it's a poison. It's like a drug that society, that retailers, that banks, that advertisers have duped us into believing is normal, that it's a normal way of living to have sold our future like this. And this is all about you realizing that, no, that's absolutely abnormal. And first and foremost, really committing to say, no more. But just a commitment, as we know, just saying, oh, well, I don't want this in my life, or is never enough. It's then about giving you the actual plan, the strategy, so you can create a different future for yourself. And I hear so many people's stories, daily. I almost get sent emails or social media messages, and perhaps you yourself have got a story about how having debt in your life has prevented you from following some of your dreams. Maybe you're staying in a job that doesn't serve you. Maybe you're staying in a relationship. Maybe you're not being able to say yes to a whole bunch of things that are far more aligned to the life that you want to be living and should be living and need to be living to really experience your greatest self. But having these chains of debt on you are holding you back from that. And that is just so tragic, and it doesn't need to be that way. And this is really, by the end of this 90 minutes that we'll have together, I hope you will see that it absolutely doesn't have to be that way. And actually getting out of that debt is a lot simpler than you may think. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is a lot simpler. But it certainly is made a lot easier when you've got a clear strategy and a plan. Now, I don't know where you are specifically on your wealth journey right now, but I'm going to guess that since you're on this webinar, that you have some debt in your life, or there is some debt in the life of somebody that you care about deeply. And perhaps you've joined today because deep down you've got an uneasy feeling that you're never going to get where you want to get financially if you just keep doing what you've always been doing. Perhaps time has caught up with you and you realize that there's only a limited amount of time left for you to make sure that you can actually stop working one day. Perhaps you've had enough of feeling anxious and vulnerable about money, worrying about you or your partner getting sick or not being able to bring an income, and knowing that you couldn't survive very long without, really having impact because of all those payments that have to go out. Perhaps you just know in your gut that trying to get ahead financially whilst having debt in your life is like trying to run a marathon carrying a whole lot of sacks of bricks. Or perhaps you just realize that you've got more debt than you thought you had, and maybe this thing isn't as under control as you were led to believe or you like to believe, and that just hoping something's going to change is just going to lead you further into a hole. So wherever you are, I just want to so acknowledge you and let you know that you're in the right place, because this masterclass is absolutely for you. And in today's masterclass, in the next 90 minutes or so, we're going to cover and you're going to understand exactly why breaking free of consumer debt is the most powerful wealth creation strategy. You're also going to know what is the kind of debt that is absolutely the worst for your wealth, so you can focus and have a structure to this, and rather just spray and pray, you've actually got a strategy about getting rid of the worst first. You're also going to discover the number one mistake people make when trying to get out of debt. And in fact, this is a mistake that it is very easy to make because it sounds logical, it sounds what you should do. But in fact, it's often a mistake that not only ensures people stay in debt, but even if they manage to get out of debt, ensures that they go back into it. So we're going to make sure you know what that mistake is, because knowledge is power. And when we know something, we can be aware of it, and then we can do everything to make sure that that doesn't trip you up. We're also going to learn the powerful emotion tweak that is going to transform your debt blitzing into a complete wealth creation, sort of turbocharged, snowball expanding. And this is really important because, as you're going to discover, only about 20% of breaking out of debt is tactical strategies, and 80% is behavioral, it's emotional, it's about mindset. And understanding that and bringing in these, what I call tweaks, with it might seem like a small thing, but can be a complete different trajectory and take you to a completely different outcome. And you're going to love this one. You're also going to know how to set up your automated debt blitzing strategy so that you have an actual plan, and also in a way that makes it stick and that you can get on with living the great, juicy life that you want. You're going to learn also how to save yourself thousands on your debt repayments. So this will enable you to actually throw more money at your debt blitzing to accelerate your time to freedom, and then go on and accelerate your time to get out of debt, and then going on to create your financial freedom. Really, really important skills and tools you're going to be learning. And then a key one, I'm going to be sharing with you how to really get your loved ones supporting you on this debt blitzing journey, and which is so, so important, that anyone that has an impact on your finances and your financial well-being is aligned with you on this strategy. And I'm also going to share with you real, two key points right now that you can do to get the most of our time together. Just here's a little nugget right off the bat. One of the most powerful things you can do for your life and for your money is make sure you get value. Then you get value from the time you spend. Get value from the money you spend. Really focus. We've got this illusion that multitasking is the way to go, and that if we do 10,000 things all at once, I call this being an octopus on roller skates, we're going to get more. But in fact, it's the very thing that robs us. And so right now, grab a pen and paper and be ready to take lots of notes if you don't already have that out. But also cut distractions. So not only, as I've mentioned, cut down other programs running so you've got better bandwidth, but also, put that phone aside. Shut down social media. Close the door. Give yourself the privilege of being able to be present so that you can get the most from our time together. That distraction that might pop up, that email, could be the very thing that costs you in missed insights. It might cost you a key how-to strategy, or maybe a mindset shift that could be the very thing that you came here to get to help you break free from debt. So please trust enoughness. Well, I'm going to mention this concept a few times as we go through today's masterclass. But what I'm meaning here is trust that there's enough time. Often it's our very scarcity, believing that there isn't enough time, there isn't enough energy, there isn't enough love, there isn't enough money, there isn't enough stuff, which is the very thing that often debt is a symptom of, this more disease, and believing that there isn't enough. So right now, trust the enoughness of time and just be here for this time, because that's how you get the most value. And a key nugget is going to be a key way for you getting out of debt. So write that down, trust enoughness. And also, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can keep your momentum going, how you can keep moving forward in the direction of your debt-free life, in the direction of your financial freedom. So I'm going to give you everything I can in this time that we have together and available. And then I'm going to give you information on how you can take this further if you're ready to really accelerate your debt-free life. So, at the end of all of that, I'm also going to answer and open the lines and answer your individual questions. So you will have already found the chat box on the side. Some of you have. You've already shared with me where you're from, that you could hear me. But that's where you can type in questions. And at the end of it all, I will be answering your personal questions. So you've got to make sure that you get the support that you deserve. Remember, in so much life, if you don't ask, if you don't take that action, then you can't be supported. It's such an important aspect of understanding life and abundance and having what we want. So right now, let's meet. And I would really love to know in that chat box, type in, give me your name, but also let me know, why is being debt-free so important to you? And as you think about that question, you just think about it. Think about, what difference would it make to you to be completely clear of all of your consumer debt? And you know what, throw in your mortgage as well if you've got a mortgage. What would it mean to you? What would you enable you to do if you didn't have any of those repayments? Imagine what it'd be like. What would it enable you to do? how much money would you then have to direct to other things, to investing, to creating your freedom? Imagine the choices you would have. Share with me, what is it that you would do with the choice that debt-free would enable you to have? I'd really love to know that. So Susanna has said freedom, debt-free is being stress-free. Stop just surviving and actually start living. Absolutely. Able to grow money, rather than just having it being consumed by that interest. Wow, these are coming in thick and fast. Be able to invest in my development and help others to grow, to be happy and reduce stress. Absolutely. You will see some common things, the stress around debt, and that is one of the huge things. As I say, stress doesn't debt doesn't just rob us of money, but causes huge stress. So wow, thank you so much for sharing your big why. And this is really important to remember. We're going to come back to this, but knowing your why is absolutely vital. So thank you for introducing yourself and telling me a little bit about your why. So a little bit about me. If you've never met me before, my name is Anne Wilson, also known as the Wealth Chef. And I'm, amongst many things, I'm an author. I'm published by Hay House, an amazing, personal development publisher, for the book The Wealth Chef. I'm also a financial empowerment activist. This is, really an area that I'm completely passionate about. I feel very privileged that I can now spend my time really contributing in something that I feel so passionate about. I believe that when we can create a more empowered relationship with money, when we can free people from the chains of poverty at whatever economic level, but the chains of being restrictions, having to do stuff and working for money, to rather understanding how to use money to support and expand them, that is how I believe we're going to change the world, how we're going to create so much more peace, how we're going to improve our environment. So yeah, I am passionate about this thing, and I'm very, very, very privileged that I'm now able to spend my time, a lot of my time, doing that. So I'm a trainer and a speaker, and I travel around the world speaking on this topic, running workshops, and also holding webinars just like this. The power of the internet is glorious. I can do this from my home. And I'm also an adventure and explorer. I love exploring life. That means external exploring. I love travel. I've just come back from deep in the African bush. I love diving. I love flying. I love the nature, which is just one of the things that really fills me up. But I'm also an explorer internally. I love exploring just our extraordinary potential. And as you'll see, really mastering our minds is actually the greatest tool and thing you can do, because that is how you create your reality, and that is how you're going to break free from debt. So I encourage you to be an adventurer and explorer too, inwardly and outwardly of life. But mostly, and some of the things that I think is key to share now, I'm financially free. And so that means that I can live the lifestyle I want indefinitely, for years and years and years and beyond. When I've shuffled off this plane, my assets will keep earning me the income that I need to live the lifestyle I want. And I can choose to work actively or not. The ultimate freedom of choice. Now that might go, well, Anne, that's all good and well for you, but I'm in debt. And so what I want to share with you is what I'm not. I'm not a financial guru. I'm not some maths whiz. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not an accountant. And hopefully you'll see that as really, really good news, because I am just like you. I am someone with big dreams and hopes and things that I want to contribute to the world, and a life that I want to live. And I know you are that too. But I started where you are, and perhaps in a bigger debt hole. And I just feel exceptionally grateful through a series of events, but also believing that it was possible to actually live the life that I really wanted. I discovered real world strategies that actually work. And they helped me get out of debt, and then helped me break free forever to create my financial freedom. And I say that is good news, because this isn't about some theory from somebody who's telling me what to do, but it's actually living an impoverished life. Hopefully you can see that, an everyday chick like you, or bloke, well, I'm not a bloke, but just somebody who's passionate can learn this and can do this. And I started this out in a really big debt hole. I thought I was doing the right thing by studying hard, getting a good job, because I thought that's what it meant to, be financially responsible and look after my own financial well-being. And I started working. And in no time, I was just being offered loans everywhere, credit cards, store cards. I already had student loans. And through my own naivety, and I'm not going to say, even greed, it was naivety and truly believing the BS that we were sold by advertisers, by retailers, by media, by magazines, that in order to be successful, that I needed a whole lot of stuff. I needed to drive a certain car. I needed to wear certain clothes. I needed to, own a home. And I immediately got onto this treadmill of debt, this downward sliding slope that is so insidious. And I mentioned before, it's almost like this drug pushes that is so easy to get into, because not only, I actually thought I was almost being rewarded by going, wow, you qualify for such and such a card or such and such a loan, that somehow I'd made it. But I thought I needed to have that in order to be successful, in order to achieve. And I'll go so far to, in order to fit in and be loved. And I share this with huge compassion for all of us. And wow, I'm getting a bit emotional now, because, I think it's very easy for us to beat ourselves up about debt. And I think it's time that we realize that there are powerful, powerful forces that are working to keep people in debt, because debt has power for those that control it. And I found myself in this big debt hole in my late 20s. And that life that I'd hoped I'd live, those adventures that I'd hoped I'd have, felt like they were drifting further and further away. And I was getting quite desperate, because I realized that actually I couldn't survive more than a couple of weeks with all these commitments that I had made on my future earning, because of these things that I had blindly signed, these debt agreements, these credit cards, these store cards, these car loans, mortgages, overdrafts. And in that moment, I remember a conversation that I'd had with my father when he was dying. He died when I was quite young. And he had said to me, and life goes so fast, get out there, live fearlessly, have those adventures, do the stuff that you really want to do. But because of these chains that I'd wrapped around myself, those options were going further and further. And I vowed in that moment that I needed to create a different reality, that this wasn't living. And hopefully, this is resonating maybe with you, that it's time for you to say no more. And I'll share with you, and here I've shared this picture of a red kayak, because in that moment of, should I say, unconsciousness around money, or just not understanding it, I'd even gone and got an overdraft to buy a red kayak, a piece of Tupperware, a piece of plastic. And I looked at the absurdity of this, of going, wow, I'm sold my dreams for a bit of plastic, and that I actually wasn't even using. And I saw a quote, and it said, when you find yourself in a hole, you've got to stop digging. And I went, Anne, stop digging. Nobody digs their way out of a debt hole. And you being on this call, this webinar, is that very first step. You're saying, I'm choosing to stop digging. No more. We're going to turn that directory. So well done. And so I did. I stopped digging. And I really want to share with you that, there were no miracle interventions. There were no lottery wins. I didn't get any inheritances. There was no fancy high-flying businesses I created or inventions that I made. I had a job, and I climbed out of that debt hole and created my freedom with being salaried employed. So if you in a job, if you're just starting out, or if you've got your own business, if you're working part-time, or if you're a stay-at-home partner looking after the kids and having to manage the money that's coming in, just know that what I'm sharing with you is totally doable. Even if your life is really full and there's lots that you're managing right now, and even if you feel all of your money is stretched so thin like some cling film, and maybe even further, like some microfiber than that, please know that you will be able to implement these strategies and you will start getting yourself out of this hole. You don't have to wait for a time when everything lines up perfectly, when all the circumstances are clear for you to focus on this. In fact, that's the whole point. You need to have debt listing strategies that fit into your life, as messy as they are, that can be automated and put in the background so you can get out of debt and live a life. Since breaking free from debt and applying these strategies I'm sharing with you today and learning and applying the core recipes for wealth and creating a great relationship with money, I not only freed myself from debt, but also the lessons that I learned and who I became as a result of getting debt-free set me on the most incredible journey. A journey where I grew my wealth pots to a size where, as I've said, enabled me to have the choice to stop working actively and still lead the lifestyle that I really want, all the adventures that I want around the world, because my money was now working for me rather than me being a slave to it. And this is, what it's all about. And, this is not about wanting to go sharing, but hopefully to rather inspire you that I managed to climb out of that debt hole in 13 months from a really big, deep debt hole with these same strategies. And then with what I'd created, that momentum, it took me 8 years to create my financial freedom. And really now I can honestly say I have the most incredibly blessed life where I know what I want. There we go. There's a key little hint. And I'm able to do it. And I'm able to take friends and colleagues and those I love. Recently I took an amazing group of women, fellow Hay House authors and business owners, and share with them the beautiful African bush. I travel and have adventures. That is me climbing Kilimanjaro earlier this year. I can live in amazing places. I was living in Paris because I could, because I wanted to learn French, and that's my dog, and going out and having adventures. And I work from all over the place. I design my business in a way that fills my soul, that I can do the stuff that I'm passionate about, but also in a way that serves me and that I can live my rich, juicy life first and foremost while still making a difference in the world. And I get to spend time and speak around the world and meet amazing people. That's actually me with an amazing singer called Lyra. You may know her. Look her up. Her music's amazing. And as I said, I get to share and teach people how to break out of debt, how to invest. That was at a speaking conference. It's just, knowing that I make a difference just makes my life so rich and juicy. And yeah, I go shopping. This isn't about austerity. It isn't about finger wagging and not being able to do any fun things. But it's about directing your money in a way that is sustainable. So you can go shopping and know that your financial well-being is great. And I can make a contribution to the things and the charities and the causes that are really, really important to me. And so this is really what my hope is for you. And, as I had created that and seeing how I was creating so much fun by doing this, friends and family and a lot of my employees in my previous life as a civil engineer running mega projects around the world, asked me, and what are you doing differently from the rest of us? You're working for a salary, but you're able to create this freedom and live this incredible life. They knew that I hadn't created a business, I didn't win the lottery or marry money. I also didn't scrimp and deprive myself. And so, they asked me to share what I've been doing, and I really realized that this was the first key thing, that breaking free of debt. And so I started thinking about the specific steps I'd done to break free and then go on and create my freedom, and these recipes, as I call them, for wealth. And I started sharing them with those around me. And then this went on to lead and start the creation of the Wealth Chef companies and Financial Freedom University, the Just Friggin' Destroy It, Breaking Out of Debt program, other programs in investing. It led to the best-selling book, The Wealth Chef, and publishing deals. And really, to me now, helping thousands of big-hearted people around the world break free from debt and create their own freedom. And, just as I'm sharing that today, I just stunned that when I chose to get out of that hole, when I felt in that place of so much debt, and my first step was just claiming back my life, my freedom, I had no idea where that step was going to lead. And I am sitting here almost with goosebumps and really excited about where the step that you are taking is going to take you. Because right now, maybe you've got an inkling, maybe there's a dream, a passion that you've believed that maybe you can't have. But I think there's also other things that right now you can't even imagine. But by you taking the step, by you breaking free of debt, all manners of extraordinary experiences are going to flow from that. The ripples of that step are going to roll out into the world, firstly making your life so much better, transforming the life of your family and those you love. But I know it always goes further. It can't not. That stepping into abundance, into enoughness, of breaking free from this dysfunctional relationship with money is, yes, it's about you, but know that that ripple expands beyond. Maybe that feels too overwhelming right now, but for me, I'm just so excited because I know that for every single one of you on this webinar, the step you're taking is transforming the world and making a mega, mega difference. But I do just want to say that, what I'm sharing with you today in these strategies is not what I call egonomics. So if you're here looking for some get-rich-quick scheme that I'm going to tell you how to do an ebook and sit back and make your millions, that's not what this is about. There is no flash, get your Ferrari in 5 minutes a day, some secret strategy. And these are what I call, money frogs. And I fell for some of them on my own journey, sometimes out of desperation and wanting to change our life fast. It's easy for us to fall for these things. So I just want you to be very aware of it, that there is no such thing. Money is not a problem to be solved. It's something to be integrated into your life with a whole new set of empowered habits so that money can serve you. And so what this is all about is you taking action and saying yes to that. It's about yes to you believing in your dreams and reinvigorating them, and then learning what you need to do to make those dreams come true. And it's you doing what needs to be done to claim your life back. Yes, there's work to be done, but when we have the right focus, when we know what for, then that work actually becomes joyful and fun. Yep, absolutely. Blitzing your debt can be loads and loads of fun. And it's learning how to be great with money. So why is it so important that you break free from debt? And why is it so dangerous? Because here's some of the facts. It's not a pretty picture. The reality is over 72% of households have consumer debt. That is astonishing. Now, this is debt that actually consumes. I'm not talking about expansion debt, which is debt where maybe you buy assets or invest it. I'm not even talking about neutral debts, which are things like mortgages, where there's an underlying thing that maintains its value. I'm talking about debt. This is things like student loans, car loans, credit cards, overdrafts, where that money is being consumed on lifestyle or just getting by, and there's nothing to show for it. 85% of household income in the Western world is committed to debt repayment. How frightening is that? It means 85% of all the income that comes in is already pre-committed. So it's already been gobbled up by something that has already been spent in the past. It's no wonder people feel they can't move forward. 90% of households buy things that they can't afford. And the average credit card debt in the Western world is sitting at $1,362 just in interest per year. Now, that's a lot of money. That money, if it wasn't spent on interest, but it actually was spent on creating assets, would ensure that every single household could create financial freedom just by rather investing that in assets. But while it's being consumed, there's no way it can do that. And 60% of households struggle to make minimum repayments. And 73% of people only pay the minimum repayment on their loans. And this is terrifying because minimum repayments are set in a way that is almost guaranteed that you'll never, ever, ever get out of that debt. And 77% of people have no money left at the end of every month. So there is no possibility for any kind of saving, any kind of investing, and actually moving forward in their financial well-being. For these people, debt works against them every day, dragging them further and further into financial oblivion. This means that the banks and the retailers and other card issuers are generating massive monthly interest, making credit the big winner for those institutions. And you and everybody else who's got debt in their life, the big losers, and are just being kept in poverty and kept in chains. Being in debt means being vulnerable. And the debt we're talking about, as I said, is consumer debt. The dictionary used the word to consume means to destroy, to squander, to waste, to expend. That's really explicit. So consumer debt quite literally destroys, squanders, and wastes, expends wealth. But sadly, it doesn't just stop there. It's a bit like a bushfire, out of control. And it just devours everything in its path. It devours not only wealth, but it destroys relationships, marriages, dreams. It crushes people's spirits, and in some cases, people's lives. This is primarily due to the repayments they have of debt in their life. It's a choice people made in their past, but the ongoing impact of that debt stays with them, and it makes them vulnerable. So people are trapped in those jobs they hate, and relationships they don't want to be in. And so it's no wonder that debt is cited as the number one cause of stress in the workplace and in lives, but also the number one cause of relationship strife. And so it's really modern day slavery, but it's a slavery that unfortunately most of us walk into voluntarily, but because we just are not taught how insidious and how dangerous it is. And so what's really important to know is, are you teetering on the edge of financial oblivion? I know by you being on this call that you're really committed to getting out of this debt, but it's important for you to know how close you are, because so many people go, oh, yeah, Anne, I've got my debt under control. Don't worry, I understand I'm pay off this credit card with that loan. It's all under control. So I just want to ask you some questions. And because here's the thing, debt can sometimes feel like a short-term and useful solution, but it's got really long-term cost implications in your life. And 87% of the working population cannot fulfill their financial commitments if their current income stopped for more than, well, if their current income stopped. So I want to ask you a question. If your income were to stop, how long could you survive? How long could you maintain your current income, your current lifestyle, and pay off your financial commitments? I just want you to stop for a moment and think about that, whether it's your income or your household income, your partner's. What would be the impact if that income stopped? Just really, really consider that. Now, if you said anything less than a year, how long you can last, then you're actually really close to being on the edge of a financial disaster, because life happens, and relying on month-to-month salary and income is a very dangerous place to be, relying on that to pay off past expenditure or to pay off the current debts you have in your life. And that is why it makes it so vulnerable. And that is why you hear these just horror stories of people, whether it's through illness, whether through retrenchment, whether through an accident or something that impacts their income coming in, can so quickly slide down an incredibly slippery and dangerous slope. So you see, because with debt, the long-term impact is the monetary cost, which we've already spoken about, but it's also the time cost. These are the opportunities you can't say yes to if you've got to be paying off that debt and when you're trapped in these debt chains. But it's also that emotional depletion. So many of you mentioned that stress, but often there's a lot of guilt associated with shame, feeling like frauds. Some of my clients have said to me, feeling like this big albatross, the dirty little secret is another thing people have told me, that it feels like something that they can't let other people know. So it impacts self-esteem and really the sense that we're not good enough, we're not worthy enough. So often we feel like everybody else has got their financial house in order and we haven't. So this emotional impact of debt is absolutely enormous. And so it becomes this self-fulfilling cycle of then that brings more stress and anxiety. So then you lose sleep and you lose concentration and you lose effectiveness. So you lose intimacy. And so you go further and further and further away from financial freedom and the life you really want. And it is like this vicious downward cycle, like that drug addiction, that then believing that the only way to get out of it is maybe another hit of debt, or maybe if I take on more debt and do this, then I'll be better. But it just goes down. And then with all that shame and guilt and stress, really has that longer term impact, and why it's so fatal for your wealth and for the life you want. And so when we start understanding that breaking free from debt isn't just about, oh, I don't have credit cards to pay or the interest rate. Yes, you're going to save yourself massively in money that can then be directed to investing and creating your freedom. But you also get back time. Time is one of our most precious things. Time to experience life, time to spend with those you love, time to do the things that you want to do rather than those things you have to do. It also gives you emotional resilience, as you not only when you're free of debt, but through who you become by the strategies that you're going to be doing and learning. When you realize your own self-worth and your enoughness, when you create the self-awareness of learning about your emotional triggers and your behavioral patterns, you develop incredible emotional resilience, behavioral resilience that then impacts other areas of your life. It really does ripple out. It also gives this radical self-love that you choosing to break free of debt is one of the biggest acts of love for yourself and others that I believe you can do. And it really feeds into what I call this enoughness of knowing that you're enough, that there is enough, that the world's enough. And it's a glorious, to me, it's one of the most incredible states of joy you can get to. And it's about this expanding self-esteem. And so powerful. And with that, gives you this incredible peace of mind where you can sleep better, you can be present with your work, with those you love, when you're maybe playing golf or playing with the kids or having sex, whatever it is, it lets you to be there rather than your mind caught up in all this other stuff. It lets you be so much more effective. It improves your intimacy, it improves your authenticity, because you can be who you are rather than what you think you need to be in order just to keep up with all these bills. You can expand your wealth and your acceleration. This is what creates your financial freedom. And it really becomes this victorious upward cycle of expansion. So I hope you can really see why it is so important that you choose to break free from debt. But how do you do it? How do you actually break free? And so I want to share with you this fatal mistake that I see people making. And actually it's the number one mistake people make when they decide to commit to breaking free of debt, and that is focusing only on their debt. You might say, well, Anne, but surely I should be throwing everything I have at breaking free of debt. Don't I want to give everything and throw all that extra money so that I can get rid of it quicker? But no, this is the problem. Energy flows where focus goes. And if you only focus on debt, that's all you're going to be creating. All you're going to know is debt and a debt habit. But also the bigger problem is if you only focus on debt, you're not learning new habits. And so you want to be creating a new set of wealth habits as you break out of debt. And this is new wealthy habits. Understanding how to keep money in your life. This is a real radical concept. One of the key habits you've got to create is actually keep some money in your life. It's about how to put yourself and value yourself first, how to create assets so that once you're free, you've got this whole new set of tools that keep momentum going. And this is why it's so important that you do not focus only on debt. In fact, what you need to be focusing on, you need to be focusing on your freedom. You need to be focusing on your life after debt. You need to be focusing on that expansion, on financial freedom, of having all these assets in your life, where this debt is just one step. So you need to have that bigger, more expanded picture. So yes, you're going to focus energy now to get your debt under control, to put in place an automated debt fixing strategy, to understand your mental and emotional triggers and master that, and you're going to give it real energy. But at the same time, you're going to be focusing on life beyond that, and you're going to be focusing on some other habits. And one of the key one with that is ensuring that you actually get a emergency fund in place. And this is really important. If you do not have an emergency fund in your life, and this is a cash fund, this is a protection, a safety net, then you don't even want to think about starting additional debt blitzing until you've got that. Because this firstly teaches you how to keep some of your money in your life, And it creates this buffer, because what happens is people, if they're walking right to the edge and if they don't have an emergency fund, they'll start making great progress on their debt blitzing, but something will happen. And this is, you must expect life's unexpected events. Maybe the washing machine blows up. Maybe there's a medical emergency. There's all sorts of to be expected, unexpected life events. And what happens is, because there's no buffer, they end up having to go and use a credit card or an overdraft or get a loan to cover that emergency, which breaks the entire momentum, which just tells the unconscious that, you know what, there's no point trying to break free of debt. This is like that person who repeatedly, through just sheer willpower, maybe stops smoking or stops having sugar, and then something happens and they have that one hit, and then that's it. It's overs cut overs. That momentum is broken. So your very first step you need to focus on is getting emergency fund in place. And this can be around 800 pounds, 1,000 US dollars, about 10,000 Rand, about 900 euros. And it's just a cash amount to catch you that you don't need to go and use debt while you're breaking this debt habit and getting out of debt. Remember what I said? If you're in a hole, you've got to stop digging. So you've got to create and set yourself up to success, that in the event of those emergencies, there's a place you can turn and you don't need to use debt, which is just going to confirm to you that you don't have what it takes. So that is mistake number one, and now you know how not to make it. So now I've got another question for you. And again, I'd love you to type it in that chat box so I can really see what's going on and where you are in your world. I want to know, when you think about your debt, what do you feel? I want you to think about that debt you have in your life, and just let me know, when you think about that current level of debt, when you think about that money that's already been spent on it, when you think about what it's preventing you from doing, what is it that makes you feel, okay, helpless, overwhelmed, sad, shame, exhaustion, hopeless? Do you know, thank you for your honesty and sharing this, because there are so many disastrous, disempowered emotions around debt that actually keep us absolutely trapped. And I just want you to see that you're not alone. This powerless and embarrassed and stupid and annoyed and stuck and confused and disgusted and stressed, screwed up, panicky. Wow. I just want to honor you for your honesty, because often just getting this out and going, oh my God, I'm not alone. I'm not stupid. This is just the forces that have worked against me. Low self-esteem. Wow, I'm really feeling this. And so here I'm going to share with you such an important emotional tweak. Honor those emotions. Allow yourself to feel them. Don't resist them. Don't get stuck in them, but we need to move through them. And so this is what I want you to really think about. This is the emotional tweak that you're going to make. You're going to shift from that guilt and that shame and embarrassment, and know that you do not deserve that. You are not stupid. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It just is. You first need to just get neutral, because when you can go, you know what? And with deep love to yourself and go, my darling, we're in this situation, cool. Okay, there's nothing to feel ashamed about. There's nothing to feel guilty about. There's nothing to feel embarrassed. It just is. And now from this place, go, okay, I'm now going to get angry. You might go, what do you mean get angry? Isn't angry a bad thing? We've been often told, especially in the personal development world, that everything's got to be, kumbaya and all love. And absolutely, those are all wonderful things. Firstly, actually, before you get angry, first be grateful. Be exceptionally grateful to yourself for being on this masterclass, for being here and going, you know what, no more. I'm worth so much more than this. I'm saying yes to my dreams. Really honor yourself for that and be grateful for whatever has brought you to here today. Be grateful about the change in destiny, the path you're taking, and all the things that this action that you've already done is taking you. So gratitude for all the resources you already have to break free from this debt, even if you don't know what they are consciously now. Just trust and be grateful for that are in your life. And then we're going to get angry. And because here's the thing, guilt, shame, disempowerment are things that actually make us hide. They make us shrink in. Just feel what it feels like in your body. And they're almost the very, very emotions that will ensure you stay in debt. Because whether it's like a eating habit, whether it's around sugar, maybe it's around smoking, a similar habit, often it's those real disempowering emotions that either cause us to go and spend some more or believe that we've got no other options. It reduces our creativity and our ability to see results. It makes us also shrink and hide, and it stops us asking for help and getting the support that we need. And so you're going to get angry, but we're going to actually, what I'm talking about is what I call righteous anger or righteous indignation. And this is, let me explain what righteous anger is. Righteous anger is not only about yourself. Righteous anger is about responding to injustice. Righteous anger is about seeing the harm being done in our lives, in our families, in our communities, in our countries, in our world, by a society, by media, by retailers, by advertisers that have duped us into believing that this is normalized, that have duped us into going into the slavery and choosing to say no and choosing to do something about it. So righteous anger and indignation is not about a 2-year-old tantrum saying, oh, this isn't fair, I'm the victim, somebody else did this to me. This is actually about going, no, I'm going to do something about it, that this is really seeing the injustice of this. And I love how Desmond Tutu put this in a great book called Joy, that it's a book that he and the Dalai Lama put together with some help, great book. And I just want to share it. I'm just going to read a little bit from this. I've just pulled it out. And Desmond Tutu says, righteous anger is a tool of justice. It's a side of compassion, more than a reactive emotion. It's a chosen response and not simply an unconscious reaction. It's not about one's own besieged self-image, but of one's collective responsibility, one's feeling of deep, empowering responsibility. So I call on you to use this side of compassion. Compassion firstly for yourself to get you neutral so you can move forward and take action, and side of compassion for others in this place, and knowing that the greatest gift you can give to others is first getting yourself free from debt, because from that place you can help others too. You can use this righteous anger as a tool for justice, of changing the world for a better place. So that is your golden nugget one. Shift that emotion. Get angry. See this as your liberation that needs to happen. And how do you get righteously angry? Well, hopefully you're already feeling that and can see that those other emotions don't serve. So when you notice that shame, embarrassment, you just go, thank you, but you're not serving me. Here we're moving forward. And you can do this by going, what is this debt really costing in money, in pounds and dollars and rands and euros and Vietnamese dong, whatever that is. What is it costing you in financial terms? And think about what's that preventing you from doing, creating. Think about the lost opportunities of that debt. Think about the lost time that it is preventing you from being able to use. Think about that emotional depletion, just those things that you've shared, and what is that doing to you emotionally? What is that doing to your relationships? What is that doing to your body? Think about what that debt is doing to those you love. What are they not able to do or experience? Or how are you pitching up in your relationships as a result of that? What is the impact of debt on your society, in your community? I know I see this every day. And it's not only the emails and the letters that I get sent, but just in society. And it breaks my heart because I just know what it's preventing and what we can actually do in this world if we just learn how to break free. So the second how you do this is, now that you've got righteously indignant, you've got that anger, that energy propelling you and moving forward to take action, because that's what it's about. You need a strong emotion to go, hell no, no more, I'm breaking free. I'm going to prepare to do whatever it takes. That is the energy you want. And with that energy, you now need to have a structured, proven approach. just hoping things are going to be different because you now feel angry, or just doing a spray and pray, throwing a bit of money on this debt or that debt, or trying to go cold turkey is not going to get you there. You need a structured and proven approach, a debt blitzing plan that will actually get you. And it's really important that this plan needs to be automated as much as possible so that you can get on with your life. Also, as humans, you know what? We're not good at having to do things consistently. So when we can use systems and tools like automated payments, then we get it happening in the background, and it's far better and more successful for us. It's really important that you keep this plan simple, because then it's effective and you make it happen. Often in life, and especially around our money, we significantly overcomplicate things. Then it's so important to celebrate the little wins. Every little bit counts. Every little bit of debt blitz is a celebration. Remembering to celebrate that. And then to really, as we've already covered before, focus on freedom. Keep every day focusing on where you're going, and that will keep that momentum going. So remember that number one mistake, focus on your freedom. And so let's, what does an automated debt blitzing plan look like? Now, I don't have time to go into the full in-depth plan that we teach in JFDI, but I want to give you a key strategy, and this is based on the snowball methodology. And so the first thing you need to do is get clear. You've got to know what debt you've got in your life. This might feel scary, but you've got to shine a light, and you've got to get that all out, and you've got to list every single debt you have, every credit card, student loan, overdraft, IOU, anything you owe to anybody. You've got to list that down, but you're going to list it in a way that you list that debt from the smallest outstanding balance, that balance you got owing, to the biggest. And you want to list what your minimum repayment is, so that you know what you're contractually obliged to pay, or what you've committed to pay on those debts. And list those all so that you know what your total outstanding debt is and the minimum repayment that you have to make each and every month. So you've got to get clear. Now, this can feel really scary for so many people, but knowledge is power. That is the first step. Then you create this structured plan and you get going on it. So what you do is you focus on one debt at a time. Just like you focus on your freedom, you need to focus on one debt at a time. You must keep paying the minimum balances on all the other debts. But what you're going to do is you're going to add what I call your debt destroyer fuel. This is an extra payment that you come up with. And in JFDI, you'll find out exactly how to create that. And yes, it's always there. We teach you how to squeeze the juice and find it in your life. But it's an extra payment that you commit to, that you start paying, but you apply the extra payment to one debt, and you're going to start paying it on the smallest balance debt. Now, maybe right now you're going, hey, Anne, what about, shouldn't I be focusing on the highest interest? No. Now, I go into more detail on that. We don't have time on today's call. Trust me on this one. As humans, we need to feel successful, and we feel successful by getting small wins, and that is what keeps us going. Because often, maybe that debt with a higher interest is actually a far bigger repayment, and it's going to take you longer time to pay off. You're not going to get that hit, that dopamine hit of success, which keeps you going. So now you're focusing on that smallest debt, you're throwing an extra payment in, and then once that debt is blitzed, you mark it off, you celebrate, and then you take that entire payment, which was the original minimum payment, plus the extra payment you committed, and you apply that full amount to your next debt. So you can see in that example here, that full $52 is now applied to the next debt. So it makes a new almost double repayment, which accelerates. And that's why this is called the snowball, because the repayment amount, it goes bigger and bigger and bigger. And in no time, you will be clear of that debt. So let's get on to golden nugget number 3. And this is about getting compounding on your side. Most people significantly misunderstand compounding and have it working against them. And this is exactly what consumer debt is. But compounding doesn't work in a linear way. Compounding works in an exponential way, with small amounts make a big, big difference. So this is so important you start understanding that. And the first is that even small amounts of extra money that can be paid against in that repayment in your debt blitzing strategy is going to make a big difference. But also your interest rate that you pay is going to make a big difference. And so this is where it's important that you look at both additional payments, but also looking at how you can reduce the interest rate you pay. So you've got your debt blitzing plan in place, you automate that, and now you start looking at what else you can do that's going to accelerate. And so there's a debt blitzing calculator. It's one of the Welsh debt blitzing tools that we have amongst many. And in this scenario, it shows you that if you've, say, got 1,000, 10,000 in debt and you're paying 15% interest, if you increase your minimum, your payment you make from a minimum of 300 to 500, you're going to almost halve the time that it's going to take to pay off that debt, but also more than half the actual interest you're going to take. So in total, you not only are going to save that interest, but it's also because of the months that you're paying, you're going to save even more in terms of those repayments. So you're actually going to save yourself $2,638. But only for a small amount of additional amount, but you're also going to save yourself 20 months, precious, precious time. So this is the power of what seemingly are small additional amounts. They make a massive, massive difference. This is the power of compounding. Now let's look at interest rate, for example. So another scenario, so here, maybe you've managed to negotiate, and on every one of your debts, you want to do that. You want to negotiate those interest rates down, and you've got it down from 15 to 10%. And so same amount owing, same amount of minimum initial repayment, same amount of additional payment you make now. But now your debt is paid off in 22 months instead of that 40. Now those 40 months is still with the lower interest rate. And so what I want to show you now is in the scenario compared to the previous one where you had 15% interest on both scenarios, compared to the 15% scenario and with the additional repayments, so now you're applying both, you'll save $4,232. That's on a $10,000 loan. That's 40%. And this is the thing, most people don't understand just how much that debt's going to cost them, but also how these small amounts can make a big difference. So that is really key. That is your golden nugget number 3. It's really important that you understand how compounding works and get it working for you, not against you. Because the tragedy is, compounding is no value judgment. It'll just work for whoever understands it the most. And that is the thing, as I've said, you've got to understand there are powerful forces working to keep you in debt, because retailers, advertisers, manufacturers, in fact, banks, countries love to have you in debt, because then they have the power. Because if they can have compounding working against you, they've effectively got you compliant. They've got you enslaved. And this is where it is so, so dangerous. So get compounding working for you. And as you break free from this is then breaking free out of debt. You then, by investing, get compounding working for you and accelerating you. And that's what's so great. As I said, compounding's got no value judgment. Just like it can keep you in prison, it is the very thing that can free you and take you to your financial freedom. So how much is your freedom worth to you? I'm going to keep coming back to this, ready for you to decide, because so often it is hard, we make short-term decisions without understanding the long-term benefit and the gain of using these different sides. So, how much money will you save now that you can see that those small amounts matter? How much money could you save by paying that debt off sooner? What are you actually going to save yourself? Well, how much time will you get back by clearing that debt out of your life? Hopefully you've been looking at those things I've been going through. What is that peace of mind when you're no longer feeling that shame, that stress, that embarrassment? Well, hopefully that's already gone. But when you can, sleep well at night, how different will your life be? How different will you be? What are the things that you'll be able to focus on? And what about your emotional well-being? Who will you become? Just think about how you engage with life, with people. And if you no longer have that stress or that worry, how is that going to impact the other aspects of your life, your relationships, your friendships, your intimacy, your community? I really want you to consider, what is that worth to you? Because this is the thing. There are choices that need to be made. It's not just hoping isn't going to change the step. There are actions you've got to take. There are going to be some short-term things that might feel uncomfortable, but when you know why, when you know what it's worth to you, when you can see the joy and the freedom that those actions are taking you towards, wow, then they don't feel like hardship, they don't feel like pain, they don't feel like deprivation. They're all about you and you giving yourself the greatest gift ever, your freedom and your life. And it's all about knowing that you are enough, you have enough, you've got everything you need to make this happen. You can live the life that you want. You've just got to start moving in that direction with baby steps, one step at a time, with the right strategy, with the right tools, with the right support, and you can absolutely make that happen. Now, I'm just seeing the time, so I promised you that I'd show you how you could take this further if you wanted to. Now, remember, we're also going to be covering that key strategy on how to get your loved ones supporting you and really being on board with you. And I can honestly say that this is one of the biggest differentiators between money success and money failure, is firstly how we manage money, but also who gets to influence our decisions. Who do we have supporting us? Who's our peer group? But also the impact of those that we love, our partners, our kids, our parents. So I'm going to be sharing with you how to get them to be your absolute raving supporters. And so before we get to that, I just want to share with you about JFDI, because I think by now you'll pretty much know if you're ready to take the next step, accelerate your time to freedom, and really do whatever needs to be done to break free from debt and get that support that you need to make it happen. And then after that, remember, I'm also going to be opening the lines up for your questions. But you should be seeing a little button that can come across your screen pretty soon. And if you click on that button, that's going to open up another web page where you can see what JFDI is all about. And if you don't see that button, you can also go to this link, yourlifeyourliberation.com/JFDI-special. And on there, you're going to find out all about what JFDI, just friggin' destroy it, destroy your debt, that is, and liberate your life program is all about. But JFDI is about how you break free and stay free from debt forever. This is about sustainability. This isn't about like some crash diet where you get rid of some debt and then before you know it, you're back into debt. That's actually what debt consolidation does. Now, I know I'm veering off a bit, but this is one of the things we cover. What are some of the things that we could think are good things for us, but actually are really, really, really bad for you breaking free from debt? So with JFDI, no matter where your starting point, you will be debt-free in 3 to 7 years, or significantly less. For over 3,000 Whale Chef clients have broken free from debt now, and many of them in a significantly shorter time frame than that. No matter your starting point. But here's the great thing. You'll feel free from stress, feel free from all of those crappy negative emotions right away. And that's where the liberation starts, because you've got a proven debt-reducing strategy in place. You've got the support, you're dealing with the mindset. So it starts happening and breaking free from debt, but your freedom actually kicks in immediately. And this is what liberates you. So we created, and through JFDI, there are 28 easy to follow steps that we implement step by step in a consistent, structured way. And also it happens in 4 transformative stages, which really are structured in the way that it needs to happen, building up this foundation so that it is sustainable and it supports you and lasts you for life. So what do you get? So in JFDI, you're going to create your own unique break-free plan from debt based on your numbers. This is not some theoretical thing. These are your actual debts that you're going to be put in place, and you're going to get clear, actionable steps that relate to you and timelines for yourself to be debt-free that you can focus on and know where you are and where you're going. You're going to develop a deep understanding of exactly the things that got you into debt, which is not about shaming and blaming, but it's about understanding the behaviors, the patterns, the emotions, and the mindset, and then the strategies to be able to change that. So when we're forearmed, we can start learning, those were my triggers. Now I've got a new set of strategies. That is where maybe I believe that I had to have that program, and I bought into X or Y, or I needed to buy gifts because of my own worthiness, or whatever was your particular kryptonite that led you into debt. You'll start understanding different choices you can make and where you can go to. So it really gets you out of debt, keeps the momentum going, and keeps you and so you stay free from debt. And so you're going to understand these spend triggers so you never get hooked again. And then you're going to have this tactical roadmap so you can know what is your next step to focus on, because that's all it is about. You have your big picture, but then it's knowing what your next action is so that it can be integrated in your life, that you're not constantly having to spin all these different balls. And you're going to get coaching and support from others who've been where you are and have come out the other side debt-free, and really supported by people who believe in you and your dreams and going to hold you to it and make sure that you get there. You are going to be creating a new empowered financial reality with JFDI. That just is what happens. And it's all about a structured approach. So this happens through daily emails and tasks which keep you focused and keep taking action. Right up front, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of momentum, not necessarily a lot of time, but there's focus on this so that we get the momentum going. So you have that support so that it's this rocket fuel that lets you lift off in a new direction. It gets you that momentum. Because here's the thing, when you've got momentum, it's much easier to sustain and make change. It's that initial inertia, and that's why we have this initial big upfront push of these daily emails, tasks, and actions and reminders that will come in. There's an online classroom which provides you all the tools and resources that you need to make your debt splitting really efficient and effective. And I've stripped away all of the verbiage and unnecessary stuff so that you can really focus your time and get the most out of it. Then there are these weekly audio masterclasses where for each of those 4 stages, we go into the strategies and the teachings to really create your freedom and make this a thing that's going to last you for your whole life. There's also Q&A, so it's sure that you can be supported and you can get the support and stay moving for your debt-free life. And then there's an incredibly powerful supportive private Facebook community who will really get what you're going through. As I've already mentioned, there are thousands of wealth chefs who've already broken free, and many of them have shared with me that this community is possibly one of the most powerful parts of the JFDI program, knowing that you're not alone. This is where you can come out and let go of that shame and embarrassment and realize, like, wow, there are other amazing, big-hearted, smart, incredible people just like me who also, for whatever reason, got themselves in a debt hole. So I can let go of all of that crap, and rather with them, we can move forward to that freedom. And having people who see you, who get you, who know what's on that path, where you can come in and go, wow, you know what, today I'm struggling a bit, or hey, I've just, paid off that credit card, or I've just managed to get some additional debt blitzing fuel because I've implemented that strategy and gave us in phase 2, all about squeezing debt. The people that are going to celebrate rather than go, oh, what the hell are you talking about, or what's that big deal? They really understand that, and that I think is priceless, and that's what you get with JFDI. So, we've already taken you imagining what being debt-free feels like, and just being free of that stress and that fear. And it's my mission to help as many people as possible. So I committed to making JFDI really accessible financially as well. And it's normally priced at $197, which is extraordinary value for what you get and for what it's worth in terms of the change and transformation in your life. But because I really want to reward action, and I want to acknowledge you for being on this webinar, for already taking this, you can join and get JFDI for life. There's no additional payments, there's no other fees. You become a member of JFDI, you get all of the training and support, all of those other aspects for just $97, or 3 payments of $34. Now, this is how I can get as many people breaking free from debt so we can create a better world. Those ripples go out. So I really want to encourage you to join me in JFDI if this feels like the next thing for you. You'll meet other JFDIers like Angela, like Joanne, like Charlotte, paid off literally thousands and thousands and thousands in debt. But more than that, they've liberated themselves. The things that they're able to do and experience now as a result of it, but also the contribution they can make and what they're giving back to others and helping them break free of debt is just extraordinary. And so please understand this. I've given you amazing tools today, and I know if you commit and implement those, you will make a significant dent in your debt. You're going to move forward to your freedom. But I also need to warn you that getting out of debt is complicated. There are real emotional variables at play, as you've already seen. And these are the things that can sabotage. And so it's so important you have that additional support. And because of that, I've got 3 bonuses I'm going to be giving you, and to really support on the emotional and behavioral side. Now, many of you share that there's a sense of guilt or shame or embarrassment around this debt. And so there's an extraordinary program of freedom from money, guilt, and shame, which uses an incredibly powerful strategy called emotional freedom therapy. Sometimes called tapping, some of you might know it, which I created with an amazing expert called Kathy Batuli. And here we take you through various techniques which will absolutely free you from that old money story, free you from that embarrassment, that shame, which so often is a thing that really becomes crippling and so depleting. So you're going to get that program as well when you join JFDI and this webinar special. You're also going to get a visualization audio, which is going to help you to stay focused on your financial free life and not get caught into just fixating on your debt. This is really going to help you get clear on what it is you want and strip away the noise so you can maintain that focus and keep moving forward to that. And then the third bonus you're going to get is a audio series that is all about reigniting you believing in your dreams, really triggering and understanding how vital this is, sometimes called manifesting, really getting clear on what you want and bringing this in. But it's about you need to first believe in yourself, believe in your freedom before you can free it. And so these are additional powerful supports that are going to prop up and give you additional momentum to all the tools and the strategies and everything else in JFDI. So I really want to encourage you to jump on board and just know that, like all the Well Chef programs, there's actually no risk for you. This is all about being financially savvy, and you need to be able to see whether JFDI is a fit for you. So you can join me today, jump on board JFDI, start up, and you can, if you then decide, you know what, being debt free and this isn't serving you, you can just let us know at support@thewellchef.com and we will refund your money 100%. And you've got the whole week to test out JFDI, you get the whole week, first week of emails, of tools, of the masterclass. And at the end of that, you decide it isn't for you, all you do is email and we will, no questions asked, you'll get your money back. So even when it's such incredible value, you can still no risk for you. So once you've decided to join and you click on that join now button and start JFDI, you're going to be taken to a checkout page where you can just put in all your details, and immediately you're going to be sent an email which is going to give you access to what's called the Well Chef Freedom Academy, where JFDI sits, and then you're going to get straight into the program where you'll be able to start on the first week's material and start blitzing your debt straight away. So if this feels like a fit for you, I really want you to, I'd love to support you on this. And I just want to say, this investment actually pales into insignificance compared to not freeing yourself from that debt and the cost that it's having on your life, on those you love, and it will continue to have if you don't get a new strategy. If you hope that just doing what you've always done is going to get you a different result, then that is insanity. You need a new way. So I just really want you to consider that. And my job is to help you decide, one way or the other. Just decide. And even if you don't decide, just know that you are actually deciding to keep the same life that you have today. And if that's working well for you, fantastic. But if not, if debt is holding you back, if it's preventing you from doing some of the things you want to do, if it's causing you stress and emotional turmoil, if it's robbing you of time, of joy in life, then you owe it to yourself to make a change. So whether you decide to continue your journey with me now or at another time, just know that some part of you consciously or unconsciously knows that you have the potential to live a truly magnificent life, to make an incredible impact on this world. And to do that, you need to be free of debt. So just friggin' destroy it. Just friggin' do it now. Break free from that debt, and don't let it be one more thing that you need to think about, because nothing will keep you from your debt-free life faster than delaying decisions. Because as you're going to discover, time is one of your most important factors to work with. So please don't waste any more of an indecision. If it's a yes, fantastic. I can't wait working with you. And if no, not now, that's fine too. Trust that and move forward. And just, keep focusing on that financially free life. So I promised with you that the next part we're going to get into is how to get your loved ones supporting you. And this is so vital because time and time again, I hear statements like, Anne, I would so love to do this, but you just don't understand my wife or my husband or my partner or my kids or my parents, my business partner. They're the problem. And, or I hear, Anne, I'm so ready for change and I so want this, but, my husband won't help sort me out and help me out, or they're not on board, or my kids just run rampant. There's so often I hear about one of the big reasons for people not being able to move forward is because of other people in their life. Oops, just need some water. I often also hear things like, and I want to turn our finances around, but because we've got these young kids in school, or kids have to attend a certain school, or maybe my kids are going to university, or I've got these parents who are dependent on me, or maybe I'm the sandwich generation. Maybe in South Africa elsewhere, it's sometimes called black tax, or the sandwich generation tax, where you've got kids and parents you've got to look forward to, just say, and all these responsibilities. I just can't do this. And some of all of these statements may be true to some extent or another. But in my experience, it is much, much easier to blame others and let them be the scapegoat for not making the changes that we know we need to make, than just realizing that how much control we really do have over our own lives. And so this might sound, like a tough pill to swallow, but you need to let go of your need for somebody else to change before you can have what you want. If you're waiting for somebody else to change, then actually you're keeping yourself in the worst prison ever, because you've given your power away. So the very, very, very first step to getting your loved ones supporting you is actually letting go of your excuses, letting go of needing them to be different before you start. Know that it starts with you. So the number one step on getting them on board and supporting you is you taking that step and not needing them to be on board. Now, this is a paradox. When you no longer need them to be on board and you go, I'm committed to this, I'm going to do whatever it takes, irrespective of what else is going on in my life. When you say, I'm worth it, when you step up for yourself, then you'll be astounded at just how the universe will support you in that. But as long as you're waiting for circumstances to change, for somebody else to change, for somebody else to be different, for you not to have those kids or those parents or whatever else is the responsibility in your life, you stay stuck. And the universe is going to go, okay, you want to wait? We can also wait. Now, there are actually 7 powerful strategies plus the whole way to bring this into your life we cover in week 1 in JTI, because it's so important. And I'm just saying the time, we don't have time to go through all of them, but let me share a few of them now. So firstly, let go of your excuses. If this is what you say is important to you, then you're going to do it no matter who or what is in your life. And that, paradoxically, is the first step to getting them to come on board, is your commitment. Then, once you've said yes, once you've shown this and you do whatever it takes and you get on with focusing on what you need to do, not what they need to do, then you share your big why. And this is why I've been eliciting and asking you to think about, why is it so important that you break free from debt? What is it that you're going to be able to do when you no longer have debt in your life? How much is it going to save you in terms of time and money? What is it going to enable you to be and experience and feel? What is that financial liberation? What's that emotional liberation? Share why it is so important for you to break free from debt, why it is so important to you to implement these strategies, why it's so important to you to change your money patterns. And that's what you share. You don't now go and start wagging your finger with your partner or whoever it is and tell them why what they're doing or you're doing both isn't the right thing. Using fear tactics, telling them, we've never been in such a bad financial position. That is just disastrous. That is going to guarantee that a person just withdraws and contracts from you. You're also not going to go in and start telling them why this has to change or why they have to change. And also, you're not going to tell them, about how other people have done it better or doing it better than you. That is just about that same energy of shaming, of embarrassment, of feeling like you're not good enough. And that is just going to not only keep you in debt, but it's going to ensure that those around you who you want to get on board are just going to withdraw. Nobody likes shame. Shame is an energy that just makes people contract. So what you do is share why it's important to you, what it's going to enable for you. You talk about you, but about your possibility and the freedom, not about blaming and shaming. So I hope you're really clear on your big why. And once you've shared your big why, that's it. You shut up. You let the person absorb it. Share with optimism. So often we want to share it immediately. We want this response from other people. No, share your why and then shut up. Let them absorb it. Walk away. Really, really, really important. So another key strategy is use leverage. Leverage outside influences. I know one thing for sure, that I'm absolutely terrible at having a teacher or student relationship with people that I'm intimately involved with. These can be, partners, siblings, parents. Often it can just feel like judgment. If people you love, start telling you what to do, again, and for so many other people feel this as well. And so most of us just don't handle this well. It's really extremely difficult for most of us to swallow instruction or correction from someone that we're close with. We want those people to love us, to respect us, to think we're awesome, to think we're bloody marvelous. But if they start telling us things we can do, it's very easy for us to receive it as criticism, and then unconsciously our heels just go in, and again we withdraw and we block that potential to learn. So the best way to avoid this kind of conflict and withdrawal is to leverage outside influence. You can take a course together, do JFDI together, send them this webinar so they can learn. It will give you a basis of starting a discussion. Maybe you can go, hey, I watched this webinar, I learned all this, tell me what you want, and you watch it, tell me what you think, and then, this is why it's really important to me, and maybe we can see what we can do and go on this journey together. Many, many, many couples do Well Chef courses together, and including JFDI, and so many have told me that by doing the course together, it is the first time they've been able to have empowered money conversations and create a structured way to talk and focus on their money stuff. And actually, it's brought another level of intimacy and reinvigorated their joint dreams and hopes together. And where previously those conversations would just degenerate or bring stress or frustration or withdrawal or anger or despair or hopelessness, now this invigoration of actually seeing light at the end of the tunnel, knowing that together that is how they're going to get there, has just brought a whole another dimension. And that by being able to talk about something and talk about the Well Chef or Anne said X, Y, or the Well Chef said we've got to do this or that. It's not one or the other telling the other what to do, which is so, so key. And so, wow, I'm just seeing this time, and I promise you and I still want to open up for your questions. So there is one more really, really important strategy that I want to share with you, and it almost links with letting go of excuses, but it's a different side. This is a powerful quote that Gandhi said, that you need to be the change that you want to see. And I think this is often a very misunderstood. What this means is that you've got to go in. You've got to take radical, radical responsibility for self. That you've got to do the things that need to be done for you to create the world as you want it to be. So if you want to be free of debt, you need to take those steps. You need to start learning a whole new set of money habits. You need to make that happen. I said, not somebody else. You need to be that change you want to see. This is how you get others on board. When they see you taking actions of empowerment, then they support you. Remember, action speaks louder than words, whether it's with your partner, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with your parents, whether it's your work colleagues, whoever it is. When you quietly get on with doing what needs to be done by taking daily steps, daily actions, and committing to you being the change, you becoming free, that is then the most powerful way to elicit and take leadership in your life in order to lead others to where you want them to go. And that is how you get others on board. Know that everything starts and ends with you. And while that can sometimes feel like, wow, am I alone, or can feel heavy, know that it's also the most empowering realization, because you know that there's nothing stopping you except yourself. And so just decide and friggin' do it. Friggin' get out of this debt hole. Get the support, get the strategies. If it's with JFDI, I would love, love, love to support you. Know that this webinar special is only available for a few days, so jump on board and just friggin' do it. And if it's not through JFDI, some other way, but please liberate yourself. You deserve it. The world needs you. Free of that worry, that stress, that shame, that frustration. And it is just such a joy. And so that's really the end of the masterclass. And it's just with deep love that I share this with you, and deep love that I call you to break free and know that with that, the ripple effect on what you'll be creating in the world is just absolutely extraordinary. So here we go. So now we've got time to open up for the Q&A. Seeing the time, I think we're still there. So I shared a hang of a lot with you. So it feels a bit overwhelming. Just little bits, remember, little steps, little steps, little steps. So let me answer the questions. So cool, let me jump to them here and see what we've got. Great, a whole bunch of questions coming in. So how do repayments on loans against my property work to increase the payment monthly if there's a charge on paying early? Great. So Pauline, I'm not sure whether you're talking about a mortgage or you're talking about an investment property, because it's you're going to treat different kind of property loans differently. So I'm going to assume you're talking about a mortgage that on a house that you're living in. So firstly, know that we talk about this being a neutral debt. So in JFDI, I go into a lot more detail about the hierarchy of debts, because not all debts are created equal. A lot are much worse for you. So we're going to focus on really insidious debts, debts that destroy and consume. Then we'll go to neutral debts and what it's called leveraged expanding debt. We don't ever, we celebrate those because they can expand our debt. So you need to then, once you've listed all your debt, you've also got to know what actually are some additional clauses. So Pauline, you've said if there is a charge on paying early, absolutely. So the things you can do, Pauline, is contact your lenders. Everybody, please, please know this. Often we are fearful about picking up the phone and asking terms and conditions, asking for a better deal. You know, I really grew up with a lot of quite negative, well, no, not quite, very shitty beliefs around money. And I felt very uncomfortable talking about it, asking about it. Part of me felt embarrassed, ashamed, you know, don't ask the price, don't question. And I felt silly if I wasn't going to understand the answer. And so in the early days, it really prevented me from understanding that everything's negotiable. So when first part, and this is the first week in JFK, is getting clear, not only the debts you have, but exactly what are the terms and conditions, what are any penalties you might have, and what is negotiable. You're going to be getting on and contacting those providers, looking at negotiating a lower rate, looking at getting rid of charges that are unnecessary. Ask them, you know, what can you do to pay it off earlier? And so once you've got that information, then you can make informed decisions. And possibly, Pauline, for you, I don't know the specific situation, it might be better for you if it's a mortgage and maybe it's a lower interest rate. It's going to be better for you not to pay that off sooner, because you're also going to learn how can you actually rather use that money. If it's a low interest rate on something like a neutral debt, it might be better for you not to clear that debt. But what you absolutely want to be doing is clearing consumer debt absolutely out of your life. Now, Suzanne has said, how about the monthly repayments? You might have insurances, bills, etc. How do you factor them in? So Susanna, great question. So firstly, part of getting clear is not only knowing what debts you have and their minimum repayments, but also what is your current lifestyle costing you. And so we really spend time on what I call the back end on your expenses and understanding these, because there are going to be some expenses there that aren't giving you any value in your life. So we look at clearing those, squeezing those out, and understanding all that so you can make more room in your life to take some of that money and direct it to clearing off your debts. But you've got to factor those things in. I mean, we have lives, but you might be having certain insurances, and insurances is often a massive area where people are overpaying. And so we spend time on understanding what insurances you need, don't need, so that you can free up and liberate money to rather blitz that debt. And then once you blitz that debt, go on and create assets. So you need to factor in what is your whole cost of your lifestyle, and then make real conscious choices about, are those things adding value to you or not? Now, this is really important. And now I'm not going to, there's a lot of programs out there that it's all just about, believe, trust, flow, which I really believe in the law of attraction and I believe in taking action. And there are choices to make. Everything is a trade-off. So while you're blitzing your debt, it's so important you know what all these bills are, what all these expenses are, because you're going to need to make some choices. And in the short term, you may very well be going, you know what, I'm going to choose not to have that gym membership or that cable TV or that payment, because I understand where I'm going. And by freeing up that money instead and directing it to my debt is going to get me there faster and actually create a better quality and value of life for me. So it's really important that you're going to get to know that, and we spend time in looking at exactly what that is with worksheets, so how to do that. So great questions, Susanna. Now, Zanella, you've mentioned store cards having 6 months interest free, and this isn't quite a question, but I really want to talk about the way the financial industry is like a drug pusher. It likes us to believe that there are things like interest-free periods and that this is a smart way. Please understand this. There is no scenario anywhere in the world that ever makes sense for you to be buying clothes, perfume, anything that you're going to consume with money you don't have, with future money. Any duped thing that's saying, it's interest-free for 6 months, so I'm saving money, you are lying to yourself. It absolutely is. This is what the industry wants you to believe. So please understand that store cards are one of the worst things you can have, or one of the first things you're going to be ripping up and getting rid of and liberating yourself from. So great thing that you put there. So please know that you've got an extraordinary adversary, and we all do. And this is why I believe we need support, we need community, we need a place where we can come to know we're not alone. Because there's media, there's advertisement. For heaven's sake, I'm sure you get, how many phone calls do you get, SMSs, emails offering you loans. You've qualified for X, Y, Z. It can almost make you feel as though that's part of your success, your worthiness, that this is a gift to you. Please know that, and I'm going to use the word, this is like the drug pusher. This is the one on the corner going, here we go, here's just one little bit, you can have this free now to get you hooked. Because you're worth so much to them once they've got you hooked, once you've got you in the symbol. So please know that. Great. Gloria said, is JFDI an online course? Absolutely. It's an online training, so you can get it immediately. You can do it in your own time, but you get daily emails and triggers to tell you to go in. This is your action for the day. There's also audio. It's multimodal, so there's audio, so you can download all of these and you can listen to it when you're commuting, whether it's in a car, whether it's in a train, whether it's on a bus. You can use this in between time. You can while you're cooking, so that you can repeatedly really start saturating yourself with these debt-free strategies while you implement them in your life. As I mentioned, there's also a private Facebook group, and it's online training, audios, downloadable things, so you don't have to only be online. And so that is sort of key. So So let me just see. Next questions. Carol said, I thought I understood the snowball effect. Now I realize I didn't quite. Another small tweet coming up. Yay! It's all these little bits that make such a difference. So he said, do you need a consistent regular income? That is the problem. Well, actually, no. And this is really important because many people who own their own businesses or maybe are self-employed, are solopreneurs, maybe coaches, maybe personal trainers who have irregular income, maybe a freelancer, will go, and how do I set up any kind of regular base to get this automated plan in place? And so one of the things we do is for you to really start understanding, what does your money flow pattern look like? And you might go, well, Anna, it's not consistent, but often there's some kind of pattern and some sort of baseline that you can go, okay, I can vaguely see that this is what it might look like. This might be a minimum line up and down. And then we design your debt blitzing plan based on that. And then with mechanisms so you can add to it. So if you have a bigger contract coming in or a money flow coming in, how do you manage variable income? So you actually don't need a consistent regular income. And you shift away from believing that's a problem. But know that whether you've got a regular income or not, you need to get out of debt. Okie dokie. Great. Judy said, I'm slowly working my way through Financial Freedom University. It's so great to have a whole lot of FF viewers here, which is really awesome because this is the thing. You're constantly learning and constantly new things. So Financial Freedom University, JFDI absolutely has expanded from FFU, Judy. And so this is really great. Thank you, Anne. Well, an absolute pleasure, Judy. And like Financial Freedom University, JFDI is for life. So you can come back to the training as many times as you want. You can go through the material again. You can even contact us, and if you want to be re-triggered on the emails, but you can come back into the Facebook group to get that support, because as I've said again, this is about momentum. This is about consistent action. This is not some crash diet where something that's going to be, sorted out. This is about ensuring that you break free from debt and stay free and go on to financial freedom because you've got an incredible new set of wealth habits in your life. And cool. So Pauline said, what if the debt that needs to be paid offers you a figure to pay the debt? Can this offer be paid with specific monthly payments to pay off their offer? Okay, so Pauline, I don't know the details of that. There's not enough detail in there, but often what you can do is you can actually contact different creditors and ask what a negotiated settlement would be like. Now we'll go into some of the negotiated strategies. Now we also go into a lot more detail in some of the legalities in different countries. So for example, in certain countries, if there's a debt that you have that say you haven't paid anything off in 3 years, which we call it delinquent debt, what are your legal rights and stuff around this? Now, JFDI, what is not about getting out of bankruptcy, although we've got a lot of JFDIs that are rebuilding their credit, rebuilding life from bankruptcy and other areas, but we'll cover and available in the Q&A and in the Facebook group to get support on those kind of areas. So this is why it's so powerful to have a community and so powerful to have the ability to ask questions, because in those forums, for example, Pauline, you could give more detail so others could look and suggest what you do, how you actually negotiate that, what are the things you should look at to actually see whether that's viable for you, what are your options so that you can make smart, savvy financial choices. So I've also just seen that Petros has said, who is it? I can't see the picture. Oh, it's just Oscar, but I saw it going down. It said, why would you, if you're already in debt, why would you pay money for JFDI if you're already in debt to get out of debt? So please understand this. The investment in JFDI has been made to really make it accessible. And we as humans, we value stuff that we pay money for far more. And you might say, Anna, I really value it. I know you will, but here's the thing. I want you to think about the impact by making that commitment, and there is a step around financial commitments that we make, and committing by this action of exchange that goes, okay, I'm going to do it, rather than just talking about it. And this is the difference than just talking about it. And this is why I'm going to call it, because I want you to know that I'll estimate, we did an analysis about 6 months ago. I haven't done it more recently, but 93% of JFDIs make back their investment in JFDI, because it's just so reasonable and so incredible value, within the first 2 weeks of the program, by what they learn and things, strategy they can put in place. So this is why you'll choose to actually invest and commit financially to break free from debt, because it makes just a phenomenal difference in your life. And so that is a real cool debt. So Tumi has said, what are your thoughts on debt consolidation? Tumi, a great question, and I go into it a lot deeper in JFDI. So just looking at the time and the time we've got available, I do not like debt consolidation at all. Now, does it have a role? Absolutely. But only when you truly understand it. And this is where I say it's so important to understand the behavioral and emotional impact of money management and empowerment. And one of the very fatal things about debt consolidation is a lot of people be in a really difficult position, or they'll feel things are getting tight and they've made a whole lot of buying choices made on minimum monthly repayments, which is one of the most fatal things you can do. So here's a nugget. If you're making any financial decisions on whether you can afford the monthly repayment, know that you shouldn't be doing that, because that is the very kind of thinking that gets you in debt and keeps you in prison. That is a modern day slavery strategy, by getting you to think only in small monthly repayments. And this is one of the reasons why debt consolidation can be so bad to me, because people start feeling the pressure, know that they've got to make a difference, and so they'll go and get debt consolidation. And this is what a lot of, firstly, these debt companies that'll help you. Well, there's various reasons, and we cover what you should know about that, and to be very, very aware. But debt consolidation is where you go, okay, I'm going to pull all my debt together, I'm going to get a lower interest rate, or I'm going to now spread the payments out on a longer period of time to get lower minimum monthly repayments. So it can feel like you're financially better. It can feel like you've liberated some cash flow. But in fact, it's just going to keep you much, much longer in debt. And in fact, you're going to end up paying more. But here's what's even worse. So not only often does the debt consolidation not make a financial difference or a time difference, these two key things, and actually get you to freedom, but one of the most dangerous things emotionally is often that once a person's consolidated their debt, that pressure, that worry, that anxiety, that stress, that momentum to say, I'm going to break free from debt, no more of this, that pain, that dissipates, because now there's this easier monthly repayment, and the momentum goes off, and so they end up going back into debt in these other forms. Not only do they now have this consolidated debt, maybe there's various ways you can consolidate debt. It isn't just through a debt consolidation company. Maybe it's going, oh, well, I'll pay off a whole pile of my debt with a mortgage. So now the pressure's gone off, and people find, so there's again been research done, it's something like 98% of people who choose to do that, either pay off some debt with a mortgage because it's a lower interest rate, or go to some sort of debt consolidation, end up going back into debt, either on their overdraft, their credit card, store cards, or whatever it was, because now the momentum is no longer there. So I'm going to come back to you, Tumi, to one of the things on the masterclass I kept saying, what you need to be doing is focusing on why you want this, on your financial free life. Because most people rely on pain. They rely on the pain of feeling what they can't do, of the shame or the embarrassment. But it might be a short-term momentum to say, oh, make a change. But it's not sustainable. It doesn't keep you going. And that is why it's so important that you focus on your freedom and know that you have a bigger why that is bigger than any of these other things. So now once you've got that part in place, then, and you're really solid with your emotional and your behavioral, and you understand your spend triggers, and you put other things in place that we teach in JFDI so that you don't and can't go back into debt, then And only then can you start using some things like debt consolidation, like 0% credit cards, etc., to accelerate. But you know why you're doing it. You're not doing it to take the pressure off. You're doing it to accelerate your time to freedom. And this is about empowered decisions. But often we like to think that we're smarter than we are. Understand that our unconscious has extraordinary ways of sabotaging us. So it's so important we have this automated structure behind us that can really propel us to that freedom before we start getting clever on those things. So a great, great question. Wow, and it's so great to be welcoming so many of you to JFDI. This is wonderful. Manny, Melanie, Andrew. This is so awesome to have so many of you already in Billboard, and I can't wait to be hearing your successes, sharing your wins, answering your questions, and supporting you on that. So welcome on board to Kirsty and Melanie and Lisa and Marla. Fantastic, fantastic. So Gloria said, Diana, can I still go for this offer tomorrow, as I'll have funds for that tomorrow? I don't want to use my credit card for this. Well, firstly, Gloria, well done for making an empowered choice. So yeah, this offer will be available to you because you've been on the webinar. You'll see that you can go to the Well Chef website. Elsewhere, you can't get this offer. You'll be able to join JFDI in a few days' time, but it's going to be at that higher price. So this webinar offer will be available for a few days. I think it's 3, maximum 4 days. This is about helping you make a decision and a call to action and acknowledging taking that step. You might go, Anne, well, why are you pressurizing its time with this offer? Because you know what, when it comes to our wealth and our health and things that are good for us, often as humans, we have great delaying strategies. And I want to give you a reason to say yes. I want to give you a reason to move forward. You're on this webinar, and I want to give you a reason to go, hell yeah, now. And that's why I'm giving you these amazing bonuses to support you. And this, this over 50% off, $100 off, from $197 down to $97, but just for these few days. So yes, Gloria, absolutely tomorrow, but please don't delay, don't lose that, because here's the thing, life happens. Monday starts, Friday ends, the kids need such and such. So really go forward. So great. Let me see what other questions we have. Fanny says, what do you advise if you can only just make the minimum payment on a 30K debt? So Fanny, firstly is absolutely you must keep paying the minimum repayments. So this is really important. So one of the things we'll also be doing is you'll each be getting your credit report and knowing what the world out there thinks about your credit worthiness. And this is really important because it's also about understanding what kind of deals you can get, and it impacts various aspects of your life. So Fanny, firstly, you must just commit to that. Now really, I want you to start believing that there is extra money. There is extra money somewhere, and you might not know where it is, but this is where I really want Fanny to say, even though right now I can't see where it is, even right now I have no idea how I'll free up that extra money, even though right now I just can't see it, I'm open and staying open to the possibility that it is there. The challenge with so many of us is we so quickly shut down and go, no, it just isn't there, and we almost defend our position of no-ness, of this there isn't. And we become righteously indignant that anyone may dare mess with our story, that there isn't any extra money. And so staying this open to possibility is really important. So that's the first thing, is just every day go, okay, I'm prepared to stay open. I'm prepared to explore, even though I don't know the how right now. So that's your first step, Fanny. And then the second step is we go through, once we've got clear of exactly what debt is in your life, but also what expenses and where money is flowing out of your life and where it's coming in, of looking, okay, what are the options? Now, there are two options. There's one is, how can you bring some more money in? What are options? Is there just an additional, could you do something freelancing? Could you just take on one extra role? Just understanding that even £5, $10, 100 Rand, 50 Rand, whatever your currency is, makes a difference. These small amounts matter. And you start seeing this as a game, seeing it as a treasure hunt. So it's not just about an income, but we go through a whole lot of stuff on how can you declutter? What could you get rid of? What can you sell? How could you use eBay, Gumtree, Craigslist, other things to liberate bits of money? Because it becomes more important to get rid of that, to free yourself than anything else. So you'll be stunned, Fanny, how when you make a commitment and you stay open to possibility, money starts coming in all sorts of ways. Often we call this free money, and you'll see in JFDI, a lot of people talk about the free money, or suddenly this happened, or they negotiated X, Y, or Z. So that is really staying open and believing and start that treasure hunt. And then start looking at things like calling up and negotiating interest rates, bringing those down, seeing are there other things you can do so that you can get more blitzing off that. You can build up this debt destroyer fuel, which I covered in JSI, so we get this extra amount to get that snowball going, and you start blitzing that and getting that free from your life. So absolutely, Fanny, that is how you do it. That is your first step to focus on. So, hey, Joe, welcome on board. It is so great to have you on board. So, Anita, I'm just seeing the time, so I'm just going to take one or two more questions, but it's so great to see so many of you coming on board. And Claire says, thank you for your time and insights, and absolute pleasure, Claire, and just keep trusting this, keep taking baby steps. Anita says, I'm busy putting cash aside and paying towards the upcoming wedding expenses for our wedding in April this year. How do I manage this and paying extra to my debt? At this stage, a honeymoon may not even be possible. What a great question, Anita. So firstly, congratulations, got your wedding coming up. Now, this is where I really want each of us to understand that the forces that play on us, and this is media, this is society, this can be our community, our peer group. And one of the things we haven't sort of covered, but we do a lot more in J to understand the power of your peer group, the power of your family, the power of the forces of how it can end up either keeping us trapped, taking us forward. And it's really important of having other people in our life, people that will support us to that goal. So now, Anita, you might go, and you're rambling off. Why are you talking about this? Now, a wedding is something that can be unbelievably emotive and bring up all sorts of things. Now, Anita, I don't know you. I don't know what your wedding's happening for your wedding, but but answering this for everybody else on the call here is, so this can be, getting your first home. This can be kids' education. This can be your own education. This can be the home that you live in and what area you live in. This can be the car you drive. There are many areas which impact on who we believe we are, who we believe we need to be, so that others approve, or what we believe we need to do in order to fit in or do the right thing. And so, Anita, I see so many weddings, and a lot of JFDI clients and Wellsford clients have shared to me that something like a wedding or a funeral or a new baby, because of a lot of the emotions involved, have ended up them making financial decisions that have really impacted their long-term financial well-being. And so first and foremost, I really want you to just, as I say, I have no idea about you, but I want you to go, can you honestly go into and go, okay, what is my wedding about? What is this marriage about? What is really important to me to remember? What is the things that I'm going to really remember in the future? What is this day about connection, about community, about sharing, about commitment, about joy, and those things. What is it that is really important to you? And then look at the expenses that you're committing to your wedding and go, do these things truly contribute to that or not? Or how do I have expenses that I'm committing to the wedding because I think I need to have those, because they're trendy, because maybe other people have them, because I feel I should? And this is one of the great first steps of really that personal empowerment. And then you're going to go, okay, maybe you're going to liberate a whole lot of expenses right then and there. And then the next step you're going to do is go, how can I have those things in a way that costs me significantly less or costs us significantly less? And this is about creativity. This is about really opening up to potential and possibility. A JFDI client shared just about a year ago how she really looked at this, and she was having her wedding at a wedding venue, and she suddenly thought, hang on, flowers, for example, is something that can spend so much money on. And so she contacted other wedding parties that were having weddings round about the time, and actually then shared flowers with others. That's one of those things. So I mean, there's numerous, and I could just spend an hour with you, Anita, just on this side. So first and foremost, I want you to really challenge the beliefs, the assumptions, and the expenses. How could you have those things? Could you ask some of your guests to rather contribute some of the things that you want for your wedding instead of gifts, for example? How could you also help those in your wedding party not spend so much money on their side? So this is what I want you to think. And I also want you to consider what it means entering into your new life, your marriage, with a whole lot of debt. And actually now is such a great time for you and your partner to go, what is our financial future going to be? What's important to us? Do we have a joint financial plan? How are we going to manage our money and our finances? And so this could be a real key part of leading up to your marriage, of actually going, wow, 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 what an amazing opportunity. And how, as we can, a partnership, make sure that we enter into this amazing next stage of our lives in the most financially empowered way, having blitzed as much debt as we can, so we can rather be directing our money to expansion, to adventures, to our freedom, rather than paying off and dragging baggage from our past. So hopefully that's given you some great, juicy ideas. So Michael Peng, welcome on board. Charles, it's so great to have you on board. He says, thank you so much, really powerful. That is brilliant. Okay, so Zanella has said, do you pay debt first or save first, or both? Can they be done at the same time? Currently, zero savings. So remember that I said one of the fatal mistakes that people make is by only focusing on their debt. And this is really dangerous, of putting every pound, rand, cent, euro they have at blitzing their debt well, and maybe bringing more debt in. And so it's so important that you learn to create a habit of keeping money in your life. So that's the first step of going, I am worthy of some of my money to stay in my life, and I'm worthy of directing some of that money to the things that expand my wealth and take me closer to it. And so yes, you want to be saving, and the very first thing you're going to be saving is that emergency fund. Absolutely vital. So while you're putting that emergency fund in place, you're paying off the minimum repayments. Once that's in place, you've actually now created the habit of keeping some of the money. That starts becoming your debt blitzing fuel, together with all of the other strategies that we put together to liberate up. Because as I said, we've got a huge program which covers a lot of this. But yes, you need to be saving. And with JFDI Zanella, I'll show you exactly how you can do that. Right now, not say you're saving zero, but this is so important, because if you don't do this, we never create your freedom. My commitment to you, and my mission and my passion and what I want, is you not just to be debt free, but I want you to go beyond financial freedom, so that you truly get to experience what it feels like to have money supporting you. You truly get to feel what it feels like to have choice, that you can have the adventures, you can do the things, you can choose to work or not, when you want, with whom, how you spend your time, where you travel, what you do. That is what my aim for you. But it starts with the habits and the strategies and the skills you learn by breaking free of debt. And one of that is about learning how to keep that money in your life and where to direct it. So fantastic question. So welcome on board, Sheila. Good night, Diane in Australia. Well done for staying up so late. Just thank you for your passion, your smart, your empowerment. An absolute pleasure. I just am so grateful for each of you for taking your time to be here and to committing to your debt-free life and saying yes to you and changing your own trajectory. And so really key going forward. So Colleen has said, Anne, is it best to use savings to clear all credit cards and start saving again for from the monthly payments. Okay, so Colleen, that's really difficult to say without knowing what your full debt picture looks like. So what's really key, you need to get that all into place. And one of the things we do in week one, part of that getting clear, is not only getting clear on exactly what debt you have, what's the outstanding balance, what's the interest rates, what's the minimum repayments, what's the terms and conditions, but also what's going on in your other areas of your wealth pantry. So we look at your income statement and your balance sheet, and that's where you go, what are your liabilities, but also what assets do you have? So those could be investments, those could be savings. So what is absolutely key, Colleen, is you need to keep an emergency fund in place. That is absolutely sacrosanct. And then it's going, okay, what can I blitz? But here's the thing, Colleen, just using your saving to clear your credit card debts without dealing with your emotional triggers, without dealing with the behavioral conditions that got you into credit card debt, that got you into debt in the first place, is just going to mean that you're going to spend your saving, clear your debt, and very likely cause you to go back into it. So this is why it's so important that in parallel with the logical money strategies, like, okay, take this to pay that off because that's going to be the most cost effective and save you the most money, you have to deal with the emotional and behavioral triggers, because that's not going to change your reality if you don't deal with that side. Remember, 80% is the behavioral side. So Kalina, could very well be for you that taking that saving and blitzing credit card debt, because credit card debt is one of the highest costing debts there is, so it's going to be costing you a lot of interest. But with it, please ensure you make a commitment that there is no credit card debt. And I'll show you how in JFDI I'd actually make that commitment. Okie dokie. Let me see where we are. Where are we? Okie dokie. So Neo says, I earn enough, but my overdraft debt swallows my income and I end up paying debts with overdraft. How do I get out of this vicious cycle? Well, firstly, Neo, well done for recognizing it is a vicious cycle. And let me tell you, you're not alone. Now, many people say to me, oh, Anne, I don't have any debt, because they're saying I don't have store cards, I don't, go and buy things at consumer shops with store cards, or I don't use credit cards, or I pay my credit card every month. But in fact, they have overdrafts, or they use credit cards to actually fund their month. So income comes in, and as you say, it goes straight into paying off an overdraft or credit card. So they actually never get ahead. They're always just slightly under, and then boom, very quickly they get there. So how do you start breaking this vicious cycle? You break it by baby steps. You first break it by recognizing this is a dysfunctional pattern and it's not healthy. Knowing that you're not alone, that a million people do it, doesn't mean you go, ooh, okay, well, that's fine. But you recognize that again, banks like you to be in that place. In fact, banks call the likes of you, Neo, and just about, I'm sure most people on this call, they love what they call benign delinquent payers. So what that means is they love people, and they're called benign because they say it's not really going to cause any damage to the bank. In fact, it's not. So benign to them, it's not, but they're delinquent payers. So these are people who typically are using overdraft, so they're paying interest rates on overdrafts. These are people who maybe just don't pay their credit card minimum payments in time, so they get extra fees. These are people that forget to, maybe pay off their debt and call them or get another debt. So they love people who are delinquent payers because they actually get more money. That's how banks go. So know that your banker and society wants you to be on that overdraft. So the very first thing you're going to do is just recognize that pattern. So well done for that. And you're going to do it step by step. You're going to focus on one sliver at a time. You're going to make targets and go, okay, this is what the pattern looks like. So it's so important understanding your money flow pattern. And then you're going to go, okay, this is what's going to be 1 month and how I'm going to do it. You're going to find that debt blitzing fuel. You're going to go through all of the different techniques and strategies that we do in JFDI, so you get this structured process in place. So understand this, if you just try and look at this all in one overwhelming way, that's exactly what it is, overwhelm. And overwhelm just keeps us paralyzed because we don't know where to turn. So this is why it's so important that, as I said, this nugget is you need a structured plan. that you now go, you've got the big picture, but you know what is the next thing to focus on, and you focus on that. So great question, yeah. So welcome, Charles. Fantastic to have you on board. So I've just seen, wow. The time has just flown. We've been well over 2 hours, so fantastic. Thank you for still being here. I just really want to honor your commitment to breaking free from debt, from knowing that this is the greatest radical self-love thing you can do, knowing that is possible, believing in it, keep taking those steps. I really hope to see you in JFI. I hope you're going to take advantage of this amazing webinar special and be on board. But if you choose not to join me now, then I still hope that you commit to do whatever it takes to break free from debt and absolutely clear that forever, and just, you know, do that. Break free from debt, get out there, live your rich, juicy life, and I'll see you real soon. Bye for now.